The moon of Vithari 6 was a graveyard. Commander Marcus Cole stood at the edge of his ship's cargo ramp and looked at the destruction around him. Broken starships lay everywhere, like dead animals. Some were still burning with blue and green flames. The air smelled like melted metal and something strange, something alien. "Commander, the scanners are picking up valuable salvage in Sector 7, said Lieutenant Chen through the radio. Mostly Dominion tech. Worth a fortune if we can grab it before other scavengers arrive." Marcus nodded slowly. His ship, the Resolute Dawn, was not a military vessel. It was a salvage ship. His crew of 23 humans made their living by collecting useful things from battlefields and selling them. It was dangerous work, but it paid well. "Take Team Beta to Sector 7, Marcus ordered. "I will check the main wreckage zone with Team Alpha." The main wreckage zone was where the largest ship had fallen. It was a Dominion flagship, nearly 2 kilometers long. Now it lay broken into 3 pieces, smoke rising from its wounds like breath from a dying beast. Marcus walked toward it with 4 crew members behind him. Their boots crunched on broken glass and twisted metal. The silence was heavy. No survivors moved anywhere. No voices called for help. The Axelar Dominion had ruled this part of the galaxy for 10,000 years. Their queens were like living gods. They controlled millions of soldiers through special chemicals released from their bodies, pheromones that made every Dominion creature obey without question. No one fought the Dominion. No one won against the Dominion. But something had happened here. Something big. "Commander, look at this," said Petty Officer Williams. He was pointing at the burn marks on the flagship's hull. "These blast patterns. They came from Dominion weapons." Marcus studied the marks carefully. Williams was right. This ship had not been destroyed by enemies. It had been destroyed by its own kind. "Civil war," Marcus said quietly. "The Dominion is fighting itself." This was unexpected news. The Dominion never fought itself. The Queens controlled everything. Their word was law. Their command was absolute. Unless something had changed. Marcus and his team entered the broken ship through a massive hole in its side. Emergency lights flickered red inside the corridors. Bodies of Dominion soldiers lay everywhere, insectoid creatures with hard shells and multiple limbs. They had died, fighting each other. "What could make them turn on their own queen?" asked Williams. Marcus had no answer. They moved deeper into the ship, scanning for valuable technology. The Dominion had advanced weapons, medical equipment, and navigation systems that human scientists would pay heavily to study. Every piece they recovered would help humanity understand these mysterious rulers of the stars. Then Marcus heard something. It was faint. A wet, rasping sound coming from a chamber ahead. He raised his hand, signaling his team to stop. Slowly, he moved forward alone, his flashlight cutting through the darkness. The chamber was large. It had probably been a throne room once. Now, it was destroyed. The walls were cracked. The ceiling had partially collapsed. And in the center, surrounded by dead guards, lay something that made Marcus freeze. It was an Axelar queen. She was larger than the soldiers, nearly 3 meters tall even while lying down. Her exoskeleton was a deep purple color, covered in golden patterns that showed her royal status. 4 arms lay broken at her sides. Her face had large compound eyes that reflected Marcus's flashlight like shattered mirrors. And she was bleeding. The blood was not red like human blood. It was silver, glowing faintly in the darkness. It pooled beneath her body, spreading slowly across the floor. Her breathing was shallow. Her eyes moved weakly to focus on Marcus. He expected her to be dead. She should have been dead. The wounds on her body were terrible, deep cuts, and blast marks that had cracked her shell open in several places. But she was alive. Barely. Marcus stepped closer without thinking. His training told him to be careful. His scanners warned him about biological hazards. But something else, something deeply human told him that this creature was suffering and needed help. The Queen's eyes tracked his movement. When he came within 3 meters, her translator implant activated. Her voice came out weak and broken, but the words were clear. Human. Marcus stopped. You should not handle me. Each word seemed to cost her great effort. Silver blood bubbled at the corner of her mouth. My blood is acidic. It will burn through your flesh. My pheromones will enslave your mind, make you my puppet. My breath carries toxins, enough to kill your entire crew. She paused, her chest heaving with pain. Walk away. Leave me to die. This is not your concern. Marcus looked at her for a long moment. Behind him, his team waited nervously. They had heard her warnings. They knew the stories about Axelar queens. One touch could mean death. One breath could mean slavery. Then Marcus did something that confused everyone, including the dying queen. He knelt beside her and opened his medkit. Lady, he said calmly, pulling out bandages and wound sealant. I have handled worse on a Saturday night in Detroit. The Queen's compound eyes widened. She did not understand what Detroit was. She did not understand why this small, soft creature was not running away. She tried to release her pheromones, the chemicals that had controlled billions of beings across thousands of years. Nothing happened. The human continued working, examining her wounds with steady hands. She tried to exhale her toxins, the poison that had killed enemy commanders who dared approach her. The human coughed once, waved his hand in front of his face, and kept working. Smells like my grandmother's perfume, he muttered. Strong, but not dangerous. Sovereign Xylira, Queen of the Third Dynasty, ruler of 40 star systems, commander of 18 billion soldiers, lay helpless as a human, a species her kind had always considered primitive, pressed bandages against her wounds without fear. Why? She managed to ask. Why do you help me? Marcus looked into her alien eyes. Because you needed help, he said simply. That is enough reason. Xylira had lived for over 800 years. She had commanded armies. She had destroyed planets. She had watched civilizations rise and fall at her word. But never, not once in her long existence, had anyone helped her simply because she needed it. For the first time in 8 centuries, the Queen felt something she could not control or understand. She felt curious about humans. The medical bay of the Resolute Dawn had never been designed for alien royalty. Dr. Priya Sharma stood with her arms crossed, staring at the massive creature lying on 3 examination tables pushed together. Even then, the Queen's legs hung off the edges. Medical equipment beeped nervously. Warning lights flashed on every screen. Marcus, have you completely lost your mind? Priya asked. Her voice was calm, but her eyes showed deep concern. Do you understand what you have brought onto my ship? Commander Cole stood beside her, still wearing his salvage suit. Silver blood stained his gloves. She was dying, Priya. What was I supposed to do? Leave her there? Yes, Priya threw her hands up. That is exactly what you were supposed to do. She is an Axelar queen, Marcus. Do you know what that means? I know what the stories say. Stories? Priya laughed without humor. She turned to her medical screens and started reading the data. Let me tell you what my scanners say. Her blood has a pH level of 1.2. That is stronger than stomach acid. 1 drop should melt through steel. She swiped to another screen. Her pheromone glands are producing chemicals that can rewrite brain chemistry. Any species that breathes near her should become her loyal slave within minutes. Another swipe. And her respiratory system releases neurotoxins with every exhale. The concentration is enough to kill a small army. And Priya turned back to Marcus with wide eyes. She is a biological weapon, Marcus. Every part of her body is designed to control or kill. And you brought her into my medical bay. Where I work. Where I breathe. Marcus remained calm. And yet here you are. Still breathing. Still thinking for yourself. Still yelling at me. Priya opened her mouth to argue, then stopped. She looked at the queen, then at her own hands. She was fine. She felt completely normal. That does not make sense, she said slowly. No, it does not, Marcus agreed. But it is true. I spent 20 minutes treating her wounds down there. I touched her blood. I breathed her air. I am still me. The ship's AI, named Oracle, spoke through the ceiling speakers. Commander Cole is correct, Dr. Sharma. I have been monitoring all crew members who approached the Queen. None of them show any signs of chemical influence, acidic burns, or toxic poisoning. Priya shook her head in disbelief. That is impossible. The Dominion has conquered thousands of species using these exact biological weapons. No one is immune. No one. Perhaps, Oracle said. Humans are the exception. Sovereign Xylira drifted in and out of consciousness. Her body was badly damaged, but her mind still worked. She could hear the humans talking about her. She could feel their hands touching her wounds, applying strange medicines, wrapping her injuries in soft materials. It felt wrong. All of it felt wrong. For 800 years, Xylira had never been touched by anyone except her personal servants who were bound to her through pheromone control. They touched her because they had no choice. They served her because their brains had been chemically rewritten to worship her. But these humans were different. Their brain chemistry was not changing. She could sense it. Her pheromones were entering their bodies, but their minds were rejecting the control. It was like trying to write on water the words simply would not stay. How was this possible? She remembered the stories about humans. They were a young species from a small planet called Earth. They had only discovered space travel 300 years ago. In the grand history of the galaxy, they were babies, primitive, weak, unimportant. The Dominion had mostly ignored them. Humans had nothing worth taking. Their planet was small. Their technology was basic. Their bodies were soft and fragile. They lived for less than a century, a blink of an eye compared to axillar lifespans. They were not worth conquering. That had been the official position. Now Xylira wondered if that position had been a mistake. Dr. Sharma worked through the night. Despite her complaints, she was a doctor first. She had taken an oath to help those who suffered, and the Queen was clearly suffering. So Priya studied the alien biology, learned how the exoskeleton healed, and developed new treatments based on her scans. The Queen's body was remarkable. It was designed for survival in the harshest conditions. Her immune system could fight off diseases that would destroy entire planets. Her organs had backup systems for their backup systems. Her brain was larger than a human's entire torso. But she was still mortal. She could still be hurt. She could still die. Who did this to you? Priya asked quietly while working on a deep wound in the Queen's side. She did not expect an answer. But Xylira's eyes opened slowly. The translator implant activated. My children, the Queen said. Her voice was stronger now, but filled with something that sounded like sadness. My generals. My most trusted servants. Priya's hands paused. Your own people attacked you? Betrayed me. Xylira's compound eyes stared at the ceiling. General Vorith. I raised him from a larva. I gave him everything. Power. Armies. Purpose. And he decided that I was obsolete. Obsolete? The Dominion is changing. Some believe we should expand more aggressively, conquer more territory, destroy any species that might one day threaten us. Xylira paused. I disagreed. Xylira. I believed we had enough. I believed in consolidation, not expansion. So they removed you? Yes. Vorith convinced the other generals that my caution was weakness. They attacked during a council meeting. I barely escaped with my life. Silver blood seeped through her bandages. My flagship was destroyed. My loyal guards were killed. I was thrown into space like garbage. Priya listened in silence. She had expected the queen to be a monster, a tyrant, who deserved her fate. But the story she was hearing sounded different. It sounded like politics, like ambition, like the same ugly power struggles that humans had been fighting since the beginning of their history. What will happen now? Priya asked. To your empire? Xylira's eyes closed. War. Vorith will declare himself regent. Other queens will challenge him. Billions will die in the fighting. She paused. The Dominion will tear itself apart. And eventually, someone will win. Someone ruthless enough to destroy all rivals. And what about you? I am nothing now. A queen without subjects. A ruler without a throne. Her voice grew quiet. I am already dead. My body simply has not accepted it yet. Priya looked at the broken creature before her. 800 years of power, gone in a single night. An empire built over millennia, crumbling because of one ambitious general. You are not dead, Priya said firmly. You are in my medical bay, and I do not let my patients die. Xylira's eyes opened again. She studied the small human woman with confusion. Why do you care? The queen asked. I am your enemy. My species has conquered thousands of worlds. We have enslaved billions of beings. We are everything your kind should hate. Priya shrugged. You are also hurt. You are alone. You need help. She returned to her work. That is enough for me. The next morning, Commander Cole called a crew meeting. 23 humans gathered in the ship's common room. They sat on chairs, tables, and the floor. Everyone was tired. Everyone was confused. Everyone wanted answers. Here is our situation, Marcus began. We have an Axelar queen on board. She is badly injured, but recovering. She has been betrayed by her own generals, and there is probably a civil war starting across the Dominion right now. Murmurs spread through the crew. Why is this our problem? Asked Engineer Thompson, a large man with oil-stained hands. She is not human. The Dominion is not our ally. Why should we risk our lives for her? Why? Because she will die if we do not help her, Marcus said simply. So what? Queens die all the time. They kill each other. Constantly. It is their nature. 4D. Ima. Cool supper too. Maybe. But she is on our ship now. That makes her our responsibility. Thompson shook his head. This is insane, Commander. The Dominion has the largest military in the known galaxy. If they find out we are protecting their fallen queen, they will destroy us. They will destroy our families. They will burn Earth itself to teach humanity a lesson. Several crew members nodded in agreement. Fear showed on their faces. Marcus let them speak. He let them express their concerns. Then he raised his hand for silence. You are right, he said. This is dangerous. This might be the most dangerous thing we have ever done. And I will not force anyone to stay. If you want to leave, I will drop you at the nearest station. He looked around the room, meeting every pair of eyes. But I am staying. I looked into that creature's eyes and saw something I did not expect. I saw someone who was hurt, alone, and afraid. I saw someone who needed help. He paused. I do not care if she has 4 arms or 2. I do not care if she ruled an empire or a garbage dump. She needed help, and I was there. The room was silent for a long moment. Then Dr. Sharma stood up. I am staying too. She is my patient now. Lieutenant Chen stood. I am with you, Commander. If One by one, the entire crew rose to their feet. Even Thompson, despite his objections, stood with the others. Marcus felt pride swell in his chest. This was humanity at its best. Scared, uncertain, but refusing to abandon someone in need. "Thank you," he said quietly. "All of you." Oracle's voice interrupted the moment. "Commander, I am detecting multiple hyperspace signatures at the edge of the system." Marcus's blood went cold. "How many?" 53 warships. All Dominion. They are broadcasting on all frequencies." The main screen flickered to life. A face appeared, an Axelar general with cold, calculating eyes and golden markings on his shell. "Attention, human vessel," the general said. "I am General Vorith of the Axelar Dominion. You have something that belongs to me. Surrender the traitor queen within 1 hour, or your ship will be reduced to atoms." The transmission ended. Marcus stared at the screen. 53 warships against 1 salvage frigate. The odds were impossible. The situation was hopeless. He turned to look at his crew. They looked back at him with fear in their eyes, but also with trust. "Well," Marcus said slowly, "this is going to be interesting." The bridge of the Resolute Dawn was silent. Commander Marcus Cole stood before the main view screen, watching 53 Dominion warships hold position at the edge of the system. Each ship was larger than his entire vessel. Each ship carried enough weapons to destroy a small moon. Together, they represented more firepower than humanity's entire military fleet. And they wanted the Queen. "Commander," Lieutenant Chen said quietly, "General Vorith is waiting for a response. We have 57 minutes remaining." Marcus nodded slowly. His mind was racing through options, but every path led to the same destination: death. "Oracle, what are our chances if we fight?" The AI paused for a moment. "Calculating. Commander, I cannot provide meaningful odds because they approach 0. 1 Dominion battlecruiser could destroy us in approximately 4 seconds. 53 ships would not require measurable time. What about running? Their hyperspace interceptors are faster than our engines. They would catch us within 2 jumps. Additionally, they have likely placed sensor nets around the system. We cannot leave without being detected." Marcus closed his eyes. He had known this was coming. From the moment he decided to save the Queen, he had known it would lead somewhere dangerous. He just had not expected it to happen so fast. "What about negotiation?" asked Williams. "Maybe we can make a deal. Trade her for safe passage." "You heard Vorith," Chen replied. "He does not want to negotiate. He wants to make an example. If we surrender her, he will probably kill us anyway, to send a message. Then we are dead either way." The bridge fell silent again. Fear hung in the air like smoke. In the medical bay, Sovereign Xylira heard everything. Oracle had connected the ship's communication system to her room so she could follow the situation. She lay on her tables, her wounds still healing, and listened to the humans discuss their fate. They were going to die because of her. The realization struck her harder than any wound. These strange, soft creatures had saved her life. They had treated her injuries. They had protected her from harm. And now they would be destroyed because of their kindness. This was wrong. This was not how the universe worked. In the Dominion, weakness was punished. Kindness was exploited. Those who helped others without benefit to themselves were considered fools. They were used and discarded. But these humans were not fools. They had known the risks. They had understood the danger. And they had chosen to help her anyway. Why? Xylira forced her broken body to move. Pain shot through every limb as she pushed herself up from the tables. Silver blood dripped from reopened wounds. Her legs trembled beneath her weight. But she stood. Dr. Sharma rushed in immediately. "What are you doing? You cannot move yet. Your injuries." "I must speak to your commander," Xylira said. Her voice was weak but determined. Take me to him. Now. Priya wanted to argue. Every medical instinct told her to force the queen back to bed. But something in Xylira's eyes stopped her. A fire that had not been there before. Fine, Priya said. But I am coming with you. The bridge crew turned in shock as the queen entered. She moved slowly, leaning on Dr. Sharma for support. Her exoskeleton was covered in bandages. Her legs shook with each step, but her eyes were focused and clear. Marcus stepped forward. You should be resting. I should be dead, Xylira replied. Your doctor has other plans. She looked at the view screen, at the fleet waiting to destroy them. That is General Voreth. He was my most trusted commander. I taught him everything. Tactics, strategy, leadership. Now he uses those skills against me. He seems very determined to kill you. He must. While I live, I am a threat to his power. Other queens might rally around me. Other generals might question his authority. Xylira paused. He will not stop hunting me until I am dead. Marcus nodded slowly. Then we need to keep you alive. Xylira turned to face him directly. Her compound eyes studied his face with intensity. Why? I have asked this question before, but I still do not understand. Why do you risk everything for me? I am not your queen. I am not your ally. I am nothing to you. You are a person who needed help. That is not an answer. That is sentimentality. Maybe. Marcus shrugged. But it is the truth. Humans do not need complicated reasons to help others. Sometimes we just do. And we have to this. Xylira was silent for a long moment. In her 800 years of life, she had studied countless species. She had learned their weaknesses, their fears, their motivations. Everything had logic. Everything had purpose. But humans did not follow logic. They followed something else, something she could not name or measure. You will die, she said finally. All of you. Voreth will show no mercy. Probably. And you accept this? You accept death for a stranger? Marcus looked at his crew. They looked back at him, scared, uncertain, but standing firm. Then he turned back to the queen. We accept that some things are worth dying for. Protecting those who cannot protect themselves is one of those things. Xylira felt something shift inside her. It was small, like a crack in a wall. But it was there. Then let me offer another option, she said. Surrender me. Tell Voreth that I forced you to take me aboard. Tell him you are releasing me willingly. He may spare your lives. No. Commander, this is not a request. It is a command. Marcus almost smiled. With respect, Your Majesty, you are not my queen. Your commands mean nothing here. I am trying to save you, and we are trying to save you. It seems we have a disagreement. Xylira stared at him in disbelief. No one had ever refused her commands. No one had ever talked back to her like this. She was a queen, a living goddess, and this tiny human was treating her like an equal. It was infuriating. It was also refreshing. Commander? Oracle interrupted. General Voreth is requesting communication. Marcus straightened his uniform. Put him through. The view screen flickered, and Voreth's face appeared again. His eyes scanned the bridge until they found Xylira standing beside Marcus. Ah, there she is, Voreth said. His voice dripped with satisfaction. The fallen queen, hiding behind primitives. How far you have fallen, Xylira. General Voreth? Xylira replied coldly. I see betrayal suits you well. You always did look better when stabbing someone in the back. Voreth laughed. Still proud. Still defiant. I almost admire it. His eyes shifted to Marcus. Human. I will make this simple. Give me the traitor, and I will let you live. Your species is insignificant to the Dominion. We have no interest in destroying you. And if I refuse? Then I will reduce your ship to dust. Then I will find your home planet. And I will make an example of your entire species. Vorith leaned forward. Billions will die because you chose to protect one worthless queen. Is that a price you are willing to pay? Marcus felt cold sweat run down his back. The threat was real. Vorith had the power to do exactly what he promised. One wrong word, and humanity itself could face destruction. He looked at Xylira. She nodded slightly. Permission. To surrender her. To save his people. He looked at his crew. They were terrified, but none of them spoke against him. They trusted his decision. He looked at Vorith's smug face on the screen, and something inside Marcus hardened like steel. General, he said slowly, I have a counteroffer. Vorith raised an eyebrow. This should be amusing. Go away. Silence. Excuse me? Go away. Leave this system. Forget about the Queen. Find some other way to secure your power. Marcus stepped forward. Because she is under our protection now. And we do not surrender people to executioners. Vorith's expression shifted from amusement to anger. I am not threatening you. I am telling you the truth. You can destroy us, yes, but you will not get what you want. The Queen will die fighting before she surrenders to you. And every species in the galaxy will know that the mighty Dominion needed 53 ships to destroy one human salvage vessel. Marcus smiled grimly. That is not strength, General. That is embarrassment. Vorith's face twisted with rage. You have made your choice, human. Remember this moment when your world burns. The transmission ended. The bridge erupted into chaos. Commander, what did you just do? He is going to kill us all. We need to run now. Marcus raised his hand for silence. When the noise died down, he spoke calmly. Oracle, what is the debris field density around the third moon? Heavy, Commander. Multiple destroyed ships from a battle 3 months ago. Sensor accuracy would be reduced by approximately 60%. And the fourth planet has an electromagnetic storm, correct? Yes. It would disrupt targeting systems and communications. What about the asteroid belt between zones 5 and 7? Dense enough to hide a small vessel for several hours. Marcus nodded. A plan was forming in his mind, crazy, impossible, and absolutely human. Everyone, listen carefully. We cannot win a fight against 53 ships, but we do not need to win. We just need to survive. He pulled up a navigation chart. Vorith expects us to run in a straight line. He expects us to panic. He expects us to behave like scared prey. Marcus drew a route through the system. We are going to do the opposite. We are going to use every piece of debris, every storm, every asteroid as cover. We are going to make them chase us through the most dangerous parts of this system. That is insane, Thompson said. One wrong move, and we crash into a rock. Yes. But Dominion ships are not designed for close navigation. They fight in open space with superior firepower. They have never hunted prey through a maze. Marcus looked at his crew. End, aft, end. We have the advantage. We are small, fast, and crazy. They are big, slow, and overconfident. Xylira watched this human with growing amazement. He was facing certain death and treating it like a puzzle to be solved. His fear was obvious, but it did not control him. He controlled it. This might work, she said quietly. Everyone turned to look at her. Vorith is arrogant. He always was. He will send his ships into the debris field to chase you, and he will lose some of them. Will he give up? No, but he will become frustrated, and frustrated commanders make mistakes. Marcus nodded. Good enough. Everyone, get to your stations. We have a fleet to outrun. The crew scattered. Engines hummed to life. Navigation computers calculated impossible routes. The Resolute Dawn turned toward the debris field and flew straight into chaos. The chase had begun. The jungle moon had no name on human star charts. It was a small world, covered in thick green forests and heavy mist. Strange birds called from the trees. Alien insects buzzed through the humid air. Two suns hung in the purple sky, casting double shadows on everything below. The Resolute Dawn sat in a clearing, its hull scarred and smoking. The chase through the debris field had worked. They had escaped Voreth's fleet. But the cost was heavy. 3 engines were destroyed. The navigation computer was damaged. Life support was running on backup power. They were alive, but they were stranded. "How long until repairs are complete?" Commander Cole asked. Engineer Thompson wiped sweat from his forehead. His hands were black with grease. 3 days minimum, Commander. Maybe 4. We need to rebuild the entire starboard engine assembly from scratch. And Voreth? Oracle says his fleet is searching the debris field. They lost our trail when we made that emergency jump. But they will find us eventually. Maybe 2 days. Maybe less. Marcus nodded grimly. They had a small window of time. They needed to use it wisely. Keep working. I want this ship ready to fly the moment those engines come online. Yes, Commander. Marcus walked down the cargo ramp and stepped onto alien soil. The air was thick and warm. It smelled like flowers and rain. Under different circumstances, it might have been beautiful. Now, it just felt like a cage. Sovereign Xylira stood at the edge of the clearing, watching the humans work. Her wounds had mostly healed. Axillar biology was designed for rapid recovery, a useful trait for a species that fought constantly. She could walk without help now. She could move without pain. But she felt lost in other ways. For 800 years, she had lived in palaces, surrounded by servants. Every need was met before she asked. Every desire was fulfilled instantly. She had never cooked a meal, cleaned a room, or fixed a broken machine. She had never done anything for herself. Now she stood on a nameless moon, watching humans do all those things with practiced ease. They worked together without commands. They helped each other without being forced. They laughed and talked while repairing their damaged ship. It was strange. It was fascinating. Dr. Sharma walked up beside her. "How are you feeling?" "Confused," Xylira admitted. "About what?" "Everything." Xylira gestured at the working crew. "Your people should be panicking. You are stranded on an unknown world. A hostile fleet is hunting you. Death could come at any moment. Yet they act like this is normal." Priya smiled. "For humans, this is normal. We have been facing impossible situations since we climbed down from trees. We adapted. We survived. We learned to find hope in dark places. Hope is not a strategy. No, but it keeps us fighting when strategy fails." Xylira considered this. In the Dominion, hope was considered weakness. Soldiers were taught to calculate odds, accept reality, and fight without emotion. Hope led to poor decisions. Hope caused unnecessary risks. But humans seemed to run on hope like fuel. That evening, the crew gathered around a fire. They had found dry wood in the forest and built a camp near the ship. Someone had brought out ration packs. Someone else had found a way to make something that smelled like coffee. They sat in a circle, eating and talking like old friends. Xylira watched from the shadows. She did not belong in their circle. She was an outsider, a burden they carried, because they were too stubborn to let her die. But then Marcus noticed her standing alone. "Your Majesty," he called out. "Come, join us." Xylira hesitated. "I do not wish to intrude." "You are not intruding. You are part of this crew now." He patted the ground beside him. "Sit, eat, rest." Slowly, carefully, Xylira approached the fire. The humans made space for her, not out of fear, but out of welcome. She folded her forearms and lowered herself to the ground. It was the first time in 8 centuries that she had sat on dirt. "Here," Lieutenant Chen said, handing her a ration pack. "It is not fancy, but it will fill your stomach." Xylira looked at the small package. "What is it?" "We call it beef stew. It is meat and vegetables in sauce." Chen paused. "Actually, I do not know if your species can eat human food." Xylira opened the package and smelled the contents. Her biology was adaptable, another gift of axillar evolution. She took a small bite. It was strange. It was warm. It was surprisingly pleasant. "This is acceptable," she said. The crew laughed. Not at her with her. It was a strange sensation. As the night continued, Xylira learned more about humans than she had in 800 years of distant observation. She learned that Petty Officer Williams had 3 children waiting for him on Earth. He showed her a small photograph, a flat image printed on paper. 3 small humans smiled at the camera. "This is ancient technology," Xylira said. "You have holographic projectors. Why use paper?" Williams smiled softly. "Because paper does not need batteries. It does not break. It does not glitch." He touched the photograph, gently. "And when I hold it, I feel like I am holding a piece of them." Xylira did not understand. But she saw the love in his eyes, and she recognized something powerful. She learned that Engineer Thompson had been a criminal before joining the salvage crew. He had stolen ships to feed his family during a famine on his colony world. "Commander Cole gave me a second chance," Thompson said. "Most people saw a thief. He saw someone who needed help." He shrugged. "So now I fix engines instead of stealing them." She learned that Lieutenant Chen had lost her entire family to a plague when she was young. She had grown up in an orphanage, alone and afraid. "But I found a new family," Chen said, looking around at the crew. "These people are my brothers and sisters now. We are not connected by blood, but we are connected by choice. And that is stronger." Xylira listened to story after story. Each human had struggles. Each human had pain. Their lives were short, barely a century, and filled with hardship. Yet they kept going. They kept fighting. They kept loving. Why? Later that night, Xylira found Marcus standing alone at the edge of the forest. He was looking up at the stars. His face was tired. His shoulders carried invisible weight. For a moment, he did not look like a commander. He looked like a man, carrying more than he could hold. "May I join you?" Xylira asked. Marcus turned. "Of course." They stood together in silence, watching the stars. Somewhere up there, Voreth's fleet was hunting them. Somewhere up there, empires rose and fell. But down here, on this small moon, there was only peace. "I have been observing your crew," Xylira said finally. "They are unusual." "How so?" "They follow you without pheromone control. They obey without chemical compulsion. They risk their lives without biological programming." She turned to face him. "How do you command them?" "And their fend." Marcus thought for a moment. "I do not command them. Not really. I lead them." "There is a difference." "Explain." "A commander gives orders and expects obedience. A leader earns trust and inspires loyalty." He paused. "My crew follows me because they believe in me. Because they know I would die for any one of them. Because we have built something together, a bond that cannot be forced." Xylira was quiet for a long time. In the Dominion, loyalty was manufactured. Queens released pheromones that rewrote brain chemistry. Soldiers obeyed because they had no choice. Their free will was removed at birth. But humans had no such tools. Their loyalty was freely given and freely earned. "I understand now," Xylira said slowly. "Why? My pheromones do not work on your species." "Oh? It is not immunity. Your brains are not resistant to chemical control. She looked at him with new understanding. It is that you already have something stronger. You have genuine connection. Genuine love. Your bonds are so powerful that my chemicals cannot override them. Marcus smiled. I never thought about it that way. But maybe you are right. My species removed these abilities long ago. We engineered ourselves for efficiency. We eliminated emotions that caused weakness. We replaced love with control, trust with obedience. Xylira's voice grew heavy with realization. We thought we were becoming stronger. Instead, we were becoming hollow. It is not too late to change. Xylira looked at him sharply. I am 800 years old. My patterns are fixed. My mind is set. You are standing on an alien moon, eating beef stew, and having a conversation with a human. Marcus grinned. I think your patterns are already changing. The next morning, Xylira did something unprecedented. She helped. She carried equipment for Thompson. She sorted supplies for Chen. She assisted Priya with medical inventory. Her 4 arms made her efficient at tasks that would take humans twice as long. The crew was shocked at first. A queen, a living goddess doing manual labor? It was unthinkable. But Xylira did not care about their shock. For the first time in centuries, she felt useful. Not because of her title or her power, but because of her actions. She was earning her place among them. And somewhere deep inside, in a place she had forgotten, existed, something began to heal. On the second evening, Orcs detected a distress signal. Commander, the AI announced. I am receiving a transmission from a human colony called New Helsinki. They are under attack by Dominion forces. Marcus's face went pale. Show me. The screen displayed sensor data. A small colony. Vorith is using them as bait, Xylira said grimly. He knows you will respond. It is a trap. I know. If you go, you will die. I know. Then why are you considering it? Marcus looked at her with sad eyes. Because those are my people. Innocent families. Children. They need help. He took a deep breath. I cannot abandon them. Even if it kills me. Xylira stared at him. Once again, this human was choosing death for strangers. And suddenly, she understood something important. This was not stupidity. This was not weakness. This was strength, the kind of strength her species had abandoned long ago. Then I will come with you, she said. Marcus blinked. What? You saved my life. Now I will help save theirs. Xylira stood tall, her wounds forgotten. I am not the queen I was before. But perhaps I can become something better. For the first time, Marcus saw something new in the alien's eyes. He saw hope. The resolute dawn dropped out of hyperspace, above New Helsinki. The colony was burning. From orbit, Commander Marcus Cole could see the fires spreading across the main settlement. 3 Dominion warships hung in the sky like predators, their weapons raining destruction on the helpless civilians below. Escape pods launched from the surface, but Dominion fighters shot them down one by one. Monsters, Lieutenant Chen whispered. They are killing civilians. Vorith wants to send a message, Xylira said grimly. He wants to show the galaxy what happens to those who help his enemies. Marcus gripped his command chair. His ship was damaged. His weapons were weak. His crew was exhausted. Against 3 warships, they had no chance. But those were his people dying down there. Oracle. Open a channel to the Dominion fleet. Channel open, Commander. The main screen flickered. General Vorith's face appeared, his expression twisted with cruel satisfaction. Ah, the human returns. I knew you would come. Vorith leaned back in his command throne. Predictable. Sentimental. Weak. Stop the attack, Vorith. These people are innocent. Innocent? Vorth laughed. There is no innocence in war, human. There is only victory and defeat. Your species chose defeat when you protected the traitor queen. She is not a traitor. She is a better ruler than you will ever be. Vorth's eyes narrowed. Where is she? I want to see her face before I destroy you. Xylira stepped forward into view of the camera. She stood tall, her wounds healed, her eyes burning with cold fire. Hello, Vorth. You look well for a coward who attacks children. Vorth's expression flickered with surprise, then hardened. Xylira. Still alive, still proud, still foolish. He gestured dismissively. It does not matter. In a few minutes, you will be dead. Your human friends will be dead. And your pathetic rebellion will be forgotten. I have no rebellion, Vorth. I have something better. Oh? Xylira smiled, a strange expression on her alien face. I have truth. Before Vorth could respond, Xylira turned to Oracle. AI, can you broadcast on all Dominion frequencies? Military? Civilian? Everything? Yes, I can access their communication networks. The encryption is outdated. Do it. Now. Marcus looked at her with confusion. What are you planning? Something I should have done centuries ago. Xylira took a deep breath. I am going to set my people free. The broadcast began. Across Vorth's fleet, every screen flickered. Every speaker crackled. Every soldier stopped what they were doing as their former queen's face appeared before them. Children of the Dominion, Xylira began. I am sovereign Xylira of the Third Dynasty. Many of you were told I am dead. Many of you were told I am a traitor. General Vorth has spread these lies to secure his power. On his flagship, Vorth screamed at his technicians. Cut the transmission. Silence her. We cannot, General. She is using a frequency we cannot block. Xylira continued, her voice steady and strong. I am not here to reclaim my throne. I am not here to demand your loyalty. I am here to share something I have learned, something that has changed everything I believed. She paused, letting her words sink in. For 10,000 years, our species has ruled through control. Our queens release pheromones that rewrite your minds. You obey because you have no choice. You serve because your free will was taken from you at birth. Across the fleet, soldiers listened in stunned silence. No queen had ever spoken these words aloud. No queen had ever admitted the truth. I believed this was necessary. I believed our empire could only survive through absolute obedience. I was wrong. 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 Xylira gestured toward Marcus and his crew. These humans saved my life. Not because I controlled them. Not because I commanded them. They saved me because they chose to. They risked everything for a stranger, an enemy, simply because I needed help. Her voice grew heavy with emotion. At first, I did not understand. How could beings follow a leader without chemical compulsion? How could they sacrifice themselves without biological programming? It seemed impossible. Tro. She shook her head slowly. But I have lived among them now. I have seen how they treat each other. They form bonds through shared experience. They build loyalty through trust. They love freely, without manipulation. Xylira looked directly into the camera, and they are stronger for it. Their connections cannot be broken by removing a queen. Their loyalty cannot be transferred to a new master. They fight for each other not because they must, but because they want to. On Vorth's flagship, the general watched in horror as his soldiers lowered their weapons. The pheromone networks that controlled them were flickering not because of technical failure, but because doubt was spreading through their minds. Ignore her, Vorth shouted. She is manipulating you. Obey my commands. But his commands felt hollow now. His soldiers had heard the truth. And truth, once heard, could not be unheard. Xylira continued her broadcast. General Vorith betrayed me because he wants power. He will betray you too when it serves his purpose. That is the nature of control. It requires constant domination. The moment the controller shows weakness, the controlled will turn on them. She spread her forearms wide. I offer you something different. I offer you choice. For the first time in your lives, you can decide your own fate. You can choose to follow Vorith and continue the cycle of control. Or you can choose freedom. Her voice softened. I cannot promise that freedom will be easy. Humans have shown me that free beings struggle. They disagree. They make mistakes. But they also grow. They learn. They become better than they were. She looked at Marcus with gratitude in her eyes. I would rather struggle as a free being than rule as a tyrant, and I hope that many of you feel the same. The effect was immediate. Across Vorith's fleet, chaos erupted. Soldiers who had never questioned their orders began to question everything. Some remained loyal to Vorith. Others refused to fight. Arguments broke out on every ship. The pheromone networks that had held the Dominion together for millennia were crumbling not from external attack, but from internal doubt. What have you done? Vorith screamed at Xylira's image on his screen. You have destroyed everything. No. Xylira replied calmly. I have given them what you never could. A choice. Lo. Xyli repline. Xyli repline. Along. A choice. On the surface of New Helsinki, the bombardment stopped. Dominion fighters that had been shooting down escape pods suddenly pulled back. Warships that had been raining fire on civilians ceased their attacks. The soldiers inside were no longer certain who they should obey. Marcus watched in amazement. It is working. They are stopping. Not all of them, Chen warned. Look. One warship, Vorith's flagship, was breaking formation. It turned toward the Resolute Dawn, its weapons charging. If I cannot have victory, Vorith snarled, then I will have revenge. The flagship opened fire. The Resolute Dawn shook violently as weapons struck its hull. Alarms screamed. Lights flickered. Crew members were thrown from their stations. Shields failing, Thompson shouted. We cannot take another hit. Marcus gripped his chair. They had come so far. They had achieved the impossible. And now, they were going to die. But then, something unexpected happened. Two Dominion warships moved between Vorith's flagship and the Resolute Dawn. They took the next blast, meant for the human vessel. Their shields flared, but held. What is happening? Marcus asked. Oracle answered. Commander, I am receiving communications from multiple Dominion vessels. They are requesting permission to protect us. Xylira stepped forward, tears forming in her compound eyes. My children. They are choosing. They are finally choosing. Action 2. Wait. End 1. Vorith watched his own fleet turn against him. Ship after ship broke from his command. Soldiers who had once worshipped him as a god now saw him as a tyrant. The pheromone networks were completely broken. Free will had returned to beings who had never experienced it before. Traitors, Vorith screamed. All of you. I will destroy you all. His flagship charged forward alone, weapons firing wildly. But it was one ship against dozens. His former allies surrounded him, their weapons trained on his vessel. General Vorith, Xylira broadcast. It is over. Surrender now, and you will receive a fair trial. A trial? Vorith laughed bitterly. You think I will submit to judgment from slaves and primitives? I am a general of the Dominion. You are defeated. Xylira interrupted. Accept it with dignity. For a long moment, Vorith was silent. His flagship drifted, surrounded by enemies. His grand plans had crumbled. His empire had rejected him. Finally, his weapons powered down. "This is not over, Zilira," he said quietly. "There will be others like me. The Dominion will not accept freedom easily." "I know," Zilira replied. "But we will face them together. As free beings. As equals." The war was over before it truly began. 3 months later, the galaxy had changed. Zilira did not reclaim her throne. Instead, she dissolved it. The Dominion was reorganized into a coalition of free worlds, each planet governing itself, connected by trade and mutual defense rather than pheromone control. It was messy. It was chaotic. Different factions disagreed on everything, but they were learning to work together, one difficult conversation at a time. Zilira served as an advisor, not a ruler. She helped her people navigate their new freedom, teaching them the lessons she had learned from humans. The Resolute Dawn was repaired and upgraded with Dominion technology. Marcus and his crew became ambassadors of sorts, symbols of the friendship between humans and the former Dominion. At a celebration ceremony on New Helsinki, an ambassador from Earth asked Zilira a question. "What changed you? What made you abandon 10,000 years of tradition?" Zilira looked across the room at Commander Marcus Cole, who was laughing with his crew. He caught her eye and raised his glass with a crooked smile. "A human found me dying in wreckage," Zilira said. "I warned him that my blood was acid. My breath was poison. My touch meant death. I told him to walk away." She paused, remembering that moment. He knelt beside me and opened his medical kit. He treated my wounds without fear. When I asked why, he said something I will never forget. "What did he say?" Zilira smiled a genuine smile, full of warmth. He said, "Because you needed help. That is enough reason." She turned to face the ambassador fully. "That is humanity. They do not need logic to show kindness. They do not need reward to offer help. They simply care fiercely, stubbornly, beautifully." She looked out at the stars. "My species conquered galaxies through control. We believed we were the strongest beings in existence. But we were wrong. Humans are stronger, not because of their weapons or their technology, because of their hearts." Zilira raised her own glass. "They taught a dying queen that power means nothing without compassion. They taught an ancient empire that freedom is worth more than control. They taught the galaxy that the smallest acts of kindness can reshape the universe." She smiled at Marcus one more time. "That is why humanity will outlast us all." The end.